What's going on, world, and welcome back to the Pursuit of the Good Life podcast, your favorite professional personal development podcast. I am the host, the Kameron Lovelace, not joined by the amazing Dr. Sarah Benson. So it's going to be a while before we have Dr. Sarah with us. She's going to take a bit of a sabbatical for a minute. She's got a lot going on in her life right now, so she's going to take a break from podcast recording. But in the spirit of consistency, I'm still going to be bringing you weekly podcasts, whether it is myself or it is going to be myself and some guests who are going to bring some great value. But we're still going to be rocking and rolling. We're still going to be continuing this on a weekly basis. And so today, we're just going to go ahead and hop right into it. And today's topic really comes in from an experience that I had this past weekend. So there's been a little bit of issue at my house. You know, we are staying social distant, not going out unless we absolutely have to. But there's been an issue around my house, and there's this bush, you see. So there's this bush that is near one of the entrances near my house, right? And in this particular bush, it seemed like there were just some bugs, insects, just like having a party. I'm telling you, like, looks like there was some spiders in there. There was maybe some beetles in there. It's just a lot going on in this particular bush. So I just said, you know what? This bush and all the bush that are next to it, they got to go. They just got to go. And so then began the process of getting rid of this bush. So first and foremost, what I had to do was I had to chop off, the branches. So I had to take my hedge clippers and start chopping off, the branches, the physical greenery that you could actually see, right? And so, that's a process. I'm cutting. It's hot outside. I take a break. I'm cutting a little bit. And, I decided to go ahead and just do all the bushes in this particular area. So, the bugs just don't hop from one bush to the other. So, going and I'm chopping. And so I get done, I throw those branches away. And so now it's time to take the bush from out the place, right? And what I'm noticing is that it's a bit tougher. So one, as you go from the branches to the trunks, like from top all the way as you get closer to the bottom, it's a bit tougher to chop off. And so, I'm having to, be a little more strategic. So I'm going 1 inch at a time. I'm going from the top to the middle. I'm going from the middle all the way to the bottom. And so, I'm disposing the branches. I'm disposing the particular trunks of each one, and I'm putting them off to the side so that I can throw them away. And so eventually I'm getting to the bottom. And this is where the boys separate the boys from the men. Is that once I'm in my mind, I'm thinking, you know what, I can just, maybe muscle out this root out of the ground, right? And so I'm pulling and nothing. Like I'm telling you, like they like I feel like the bushes was laughing at me. That's how ridiculous this bush was rooted into the ground. And so, I said, you know what, okay, let me go to the back shed and get my shovel. So I get the shovel. And I just started digging. So I started digging and I started loosening up some of the roots. And so as I get a little bit firmer, I'm pulling up, and not the original one, not the one that had a party in it going on, but the ones that were next to it. So I'm having some success with there. So I'm digging, and I'm pulling. I'm pulling like one little root at a time. And I'm wiggling it. And it's coming up, right? So it comes up, and I'm just, I look like a lumberjack. I kind of look pretty ridiculous. I'm sure my neighbors were like, "What's he doing?" And so, I'm wiggling it up and down, and I pull it. Okay, cool. And so I got the first one out, and so I go to the one that had the party in it, right? And so I'm wiggling it. I'm pushing hard on the shovel, to kind of to kind of jimmy it, kind of like a seesaw, if you will. So, when you're on a seesaw and you're going up and down, that's kind of what it looks like, me trying to jimmy this root, because it's firmly in there. And eventually what happened was my shovel broke. The root of this particular bush was so strong that it broke my shovel. And, at one point I was like, you know what? Let me just stop. And I'm going to come back to this with a brand new shovel. But I was like, you know what? While I'm out here, because the thing about the broken shovel is that the metal part obviously was still intact, but the wooden handle on it was split. And I had on gloves, so I didn't have to worry about splinters. So I was like, you know what? Let me use what I got and just go ahead and tackle this other bush, because this other bush doesn't seem like it's too bad. And so I'm wiggling this third bush, and it's breaking down and it's coming out. But, once I pull it out the ground, the roots that were still in the ground are still kind of attached to the ground. And so I'm pulling up this third root, and I realized that the roots were all the way firmly in there, but they are longer than I anticipated. Like, the roots of this particular bush was wrapped all the way around near the front of my house. Like, I didn't even realize that it stretched like 10 feet from where it originally was planted and rooted. And the thing about life is that we have a tendency to deal with the fruit, the branches, the things that are just on the top, when really, in order to address the problem, we got to look at what is the root of these particular issues. And so when we start doing, the personal work, when we start doing the professional work, when we start really exploring what is necessary to make the changes and adjustments in our life, we can see the root. We can see that. I don't think that's an abstract concept to think, okay, there's a root to this problem that clearly we need to deal with. But once we start getting to the root, we realize that, this is going to be harder than I think. And the tools that I have may not be adept to deal with this particular problem. Or maybe it is, but it's going to take me a lot of effort. So you know what I do? I'm just going to take a break. I'm just going to come back to this, or I'm not going to address this at all. And it'll get dealt with when it gets dealt with. That's usually the approach that we have when we start, dealing with the root of our particular problem. And I can remember one of the roots that I had, just to be honest and transparent, was being open and emotional with my feelings. You see, when I was going through my counseling program, we had this class called Clinical Techniques, and this is basically the practice counseling class. This is where we practice counseling each other, whether we use a real issue or a fake issue, we are counseling and we are being the client to our classmates and cohorts, right? And our professor will sit there and he or she will watch us, right? And so one day, my professor pulls me to this, not pulls me to the side, but she's giving me feedback. And she tells me something that I never forget. She said that, Kameron, you are going to be an excellent therapist. You have the skills, you have the sense of mind, you have great empathy, you can reflect people well. You do all of that really well, but there's one area of emotion. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's something about feelings with you that I'm seeing that's going to hold you back. Because when clients are going there emotionally, or they something emotional has happened, instead of leaning into it, you have a tendency to back off of it, or just shift to the next topic, instead of really like sitting in those feelings and emotions. And I think that might be a reflection. I'm not getting any business, but I think that might be a reflection of something that's going on with you. And I was like, lady, what you talking about? And I had to check myself because what I did not realize was that when it comes to feelings, as a man, as Kameron, I wouldn't allow myself to feel feelings or express the feelings that I was feeling. Don't get lost in me keep saying feelings. And the reason because of that was because back when I was a teenager, my parents was going through a divorce. And during that time, I had learned, literally this term was how I was kind of reflecting on it, is that my emotions right now don't really matter because I love both of my parents, and this is between them, the two of them. This has nothing to do with me. They've made it very clear that, this has nothing to do with you. We still love you. This is just something that we got to work out right now. And so it's like my feelings go in this box right now. No matter how ugly this gets, no matter what issues are going on, no matter what outward appearances is revealing, I'm going to put my box of emotions right here so that I can keep going. Because if I feel these emotions, then I'm gonna get mad towards one parent. I'm gonna be upset with the other parent. I'm gonna be feeling all these feelings, and it's gonna hold me back. And it's not about me right now. That was what I told myself. What I didn't realize is that this box never went away. I was continuously using this box to hold my emotions, and because of this box of emotions was only, I won't even say it was ever allowed to come out for me personally. And so what I had to realize in that moment was that the reason why I was so uncomfortable with dealing with clients' emotions is because I was uncomfortable with dealing with my own. And I didn't allow myself to even feel any feelings, and not just sad feelings, not just mad feelings. I'm talking about happiness. I'm talking about excitement. I'm talking about all the array of emotions, because I think I didn't want to feel to some extent the hurt that could potentially come with that. The letdown of coming off of a high. And I'm not talking about like sport. Like I would feel, I'm not calling, I wasn't no sociopath, but it's like the deep feelings of really living in the moment, allowing myself to be angry, allowing myself to be happy, allowing myself to feel those feelings. It wasn't what I was doing. And that is an issue that I had to address. So you know what, I had to own up to it. I had to face it. And I was like, you know what? You're right. And I went, at the time, me and Sparkle we were just dating, but I told her this epiphany, and I said, you know what, I realized, because at the time she had kind of talked to me about it, about, I don't really know what happens with you. I don't really know when you're happy, sad, when things are good. Like I have to ask you, because it seems like you're kind of like emotionally shut off sometimes. And so she had brought that to my attention. So technically this wasn't the first time that I had been told this. I just didn't realize it until that deep reflection moment. And I had to tell Sparkle, I said, I realize now that this is what's going on, and that the reason why I can be emotionally cut off sometimes is because it's been this way. So I want to make the commitment to you in saying that from this day forward, I'm going to attempt to be more emotionally vulnerable with you. I can't promise that it's going to happen overnight, but I promise that I'm going to take steps and try to be more emotionally expressive and available to you. And I'm proud to say that I've made huge progress since that day. Now, not perfect. I still feel it sometimes. Sometimes feel the need to not express when I'm pissed off. When I really feel like, you know what, I'm gonna hold this in because it's not important. But what I realize is that when I hold back those emotions, I'm not hurting nobody but myself. Now, I'm not talking about like flying off at the handle. I'm not talking about when you're angry or when your happiness puts you in a place to where you are like hurting somebody else. I'm talking about where you have an issue or a problem and you are meaning to say something, but you choose not to say it. When you have an issue, when you have a problem with something and you decide to hold it in and not address it at all, but you know something's up, but you know you should say something. There are those of you who are out there listening to this who have been ignoring your roots, who have been ignoring what the serious, the bottom line problem is. And you've been ignoring it because you know that it's going to be difficult to deal with it. You do. You know that if I start tackling this issue, I might break my shovel. The shovel that I'm trying to get this root out of, it might break. And the thing is, when you start addressing the issues, yes, it might be painful. Yeah, you might hurt yourself emotionally, physically, mentally. It might be tough when you start tackling this particular issue. It will be. No, I don't even say might be. It will be. But the thing about it is, if you don't, the problem's not going to go anywhere. That root will still be there. And if you leave it unchecked again, it's going to grow even more issues all over again because you haven't addressed it, because you haven't taken the steps to uproot those issues, those problems, those key pivotal things that are making the huge difference in your life. And so I want to challenge you to do that work. I want to challenge you to think about, what has really impacted who I am in my personal relationships. Let's start there. I want you to think about, if there's something that is rooted in, let's say, fear, or there's something that has really been a point of contention in my intimate relationships or in my personal relationships, if there's a particular specific issue that think about what is really the root of that? What is really the cause of that? Is it a particular event? Usually 9 times out of 10, I'm going in my therapy bag right now. Usually there is a point of, there's an experience that has happened, whether it's a memory, whether it was a moment, whatever it is. Usually you can trace it back to a moment in time that planted that seed. And that seed will have grown and grown and grown. And the result of it will be this point of contention, whatever it is that is causing this issue in your relationships. But the thing about it is, you have to plant another seed. The seed that says, you know what, I'm gonna move forward. The seeds that say, you know what, Kameron, you can trust this person with your emotions. Kameron, it's okay to be happy. Kameron, it's okay to be mad. Kameron, it's okay to do this. And you have to continuously water that seed and plant new roots. The positive bushes, if you will, that reflect those positive values and moments that you aspire to have in your relationships. And you've got to uproot those other things, because it's those other things that are going to hold you back in those relationships. But you can't have 2 bushes, because those bushes are going to try to feed off each other. They might even cancel each other out if you do not check that first one. And that's very crucial. And even I also want to point out that even in your career and your professional development, you've got to take the onus and say, okay, there are plenty of people that are like me, that look like me, that are doing what I'm doing, but for whatever reason, they're more successful than me. So that tells me it's not a matter of what it is that I do, not necessarily how I'm doing it. But sometimes it's about the person that I am. And what is it that I'm doing? What is it that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis to manage my day that's different from how the person that is just like me, that's killing the game, is doing it? Where's the difference? And and if y'all know me, like I think y'all know me, y'all know that I'm not about comparing people in terms of, they have a bigger house, they have better. No. It's not. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the work ethic. I'm talking about the work and the character differences between me and them. What is this person doing that I can learn from? What am I doing? What am I not doing? What can I do more of that will make the difference? Is it a pivotal moment that I made back in my core beliefs, in my core understanding? You know, I was having a conversation with my mom the other day, and she said that I realized that you are who you are professionally and your work ethic, your drive, the things that you aspire to do. It has been a reflection of how you saw me and your dad, and actually probably your uncle too, because all three not only aspire to level up, if you will. You see, for those of y'all who know my mom, you know she has a PhD, and my dad is a licensed physical therapist. Like his trade was physical therapy, and then I saw them both create a business together. I saw them have multiple ventures together. And so that foundation, that root is what has stirred up in me to start a podcast, to have my own training consulting business, to get my advanced degree, to be married. And it was that foundation that reflects who I am. And I even saw my uncle, my dad's brother, start his own business, do his own multiple ventures, have his own family. And I realized that what she was saying was absolutely true. And for you, when it comes to your professional development, if you will, what is your foundation that you are rooted in as far as your career, and your professional like development lane? So if your parents are entrepreneurs, chances are at one point you might want to explore your own business. Might be. If your parents worked for the same company for 20 years, lived a good life, and are completely satisfied with that, you might be satisfied with just working for somebody. Maybe. But I want you to really explore where your roots are planted. I want you to think about where it is as far as what the things that I want to achieve in life, where does that come from? Where does that work ethic come from, or not desire, not drive, or aspirations, or laid back, or wherever it is that you are on the spectrum of aspirations and your pursuit of the good life, where is that rooted in? For me, like I said on the episode 1, I said that my idea of a good life was married, house, kids, dog, picket white fence, is because that's what I wanted for myself after the divorce of my parents. I wanted a happy home where I'm there for my kids and everybody's financially secure. So I'm financially secure, but I'm not sacrificing the life that I want for my kids and my wife and this dog. And so I want you guys to really explore what is the root of your pursuit of the good life in your career, in your relationships. What are the roots that you have currently built your foundation on? And do you need to dig it up? Do you need to make an adjustment? Do you need to plant a new root, plant a new seed, plant some new fruits? Do I need to put something new in the ground so that I can really start pursuing what it is that I need to do? No. Let me not say what I need to do, what I want to do. Because that's the first step. Because we can talk theory, we can talk application, we can talk all these things all day. But if you don't look at what is the core issues, what is the core of my desires, why do I want what I want? How did I get here? If you don't even acknowledge that or even know that, then man, you're going to be going all over the place. And so I'll leave you with this. I want you to take some time and I want you to reflect. Whether you are, spiritual like me and you take some prayer time, whether you meditate, but I want you to think about one relationship that is not in a place where you want it to be, whether it's your spouse, girlfriend, parent, any type of relationship that you want, that is not where you want it to be. And I want you to think back to maybe the first moment where things started to shift. Where's the first thing or moment or issue that happened where it wasn't so smooth anymore? And why is that? That's the first thing I want you to do. And y'all know I have to have a caveat for the professional. For the professional, I want you to think about all the things that you want, all the things that you desire or aspire to be, even if it's as small as a new car or as big as you want to travel the world. I want you to think about, okay, where did that first desire come from? Because once you start thinking about that, then you're going to start getting excited again. Then you can relight that flame so that you have something to pursue in your pursuit of the good life. So that's all I got for y'all today. That was under 30 minutes. I'm glad. I was afraid I was going to get like a Baptist minister and be preaching all day, but I'm glad I didn't. So for those of y'all who are loyal listeners, give us that 5-star review on iTunes. It helps us move up in the chart. If you're watching this on YouTube, give us that like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more content. And you guys keep pursuing your version of the good life. Until then, we will see you next week.